Welcome back to the Technology Evangelist Podcast, sponsored by Medidenta Digital. I'm Dr. John Flucke, the Technology Evangelist. And today we're going to have a really interesting off-the-cuff conversation with a gentleman that has his own podcast, a lecturer, writer, bon vivant, dentist about town and dentist about the nation, Dr. Russell Schafer. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me, John. It's a pleasure to be on finally. I know we had a few mishaps with me traveling across Dallas and whatnot, but I'm finally glad to be on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, dude.
No, I appreciate it. The thing I always try and start off with everybody is, I'm a geeky guy. I love science and comic books, and everybody loves a good origin story in the comic book world. So why don't we start out, just tell everybody like how you got to this point, and it doesn't need to be like, oh, well, last week, I want to hear the whole thing from, what got you into dentistry, the whole thing.
I'll start back, actually. I was an oil engineer, actually, back in 2000. So I was a mechanical engineer at Rice University in Houston, Texas. I'm from New Orleans. My dad was an oil engineer at Shell. I thought I was going to be an oil engineer. I love math and science. Worked down for a company called Schlumberger down in Mexico for a summer. Hated it, despised it. My origin story was I pulled a 24-hour shift down in a drilling rig, and I was covered head to toe in oil and drilling mud, which is imagine being covered in 3D printing resin. Just nasty shit. Not like quality stuff like Pactant resin or Sprint resin. Imagine being covered in like the $15 $15 a liter resin. You're like, this is cancer right here. And I said, screw this. I still finished my degree in mechanical engineering because it's a mechanical engineering degree. I was almost done. I was good at mechanical engineering, but I signed up for some organic chemistry and never looked back. So yeah, that's how I became a dentist. Because I was doing dentistry more than medicine. And then from there, went to dental school. Hated dental school. Like if LSU dental school burned down, I'd be happy. I'd be beyond happy about that. I despised LSU dental school with every fiber of my being.
What year did you graduate? Just out of curiosity.
2013. It was the worst 5 years. Worst 5 years of my life. And actually, it was kind of funny when I left dental school. I thought I would never do another denture in my life because I actually hated dentures in dental school. And the reason is because I think that prosthodontists do a terrible job teaching dentures. I think that they make it too complex. They live in this ideal world where everyone gets a $3,000, $4,000 denture, 6 steps, 5-6 steps. And I said, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
I get that.
Exactly. So then started following Dental Town, started following Ryan McCall, started loving his stuff out of there. I don't know if you're ever on Dental Town or not. But
what's really funny is if you look at my dental school graduate composite photo that's hanging up, I think down there in the library somewhere, John Flucke and Howard Ferran, because of alphabetical order, are side by side smack in the middle of that photo.
Fantastic. I didn't realize you went to school with Howard. That's awesome, dude.
Yep. I've known Howard since I was like 21 years old. So anyway.
Cool. Fantastic. Yeah, but Dental Town was a wonderful resource, honestly, and got me excited about dentistry. I think that dentists love being social beings. Like we are more so than our medical colleagues.
Yeah.
We love talking dentistry, or I should say this honestly. I think there's a lot of dentists out there that view this as a 9-to-5 job. After 5 o'clock, screw it, I'm done. Let me get a rum and coke and just call out for the night. But there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of guys and gals, I should say, that literally they live, eat, and breathe this stuff, and it brings them joy. And those people see on the forums all the time. And you don't meet them at conventions actually ever, just because the conventions are all boring now. I went to the New Orleans Dental Convention. And I was like telling people, oh yeah, I've got a Shining 3D scanner, and I assume that this is all pretty well known, stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And they're like, what's an aerial scan elite? And I'm like, you don't know what the aerial scan elite is? Like, yeah, I use a Trios 3, and I'm like, well, that's old, man. Like, you need to get a better. Why'd you just buy a Trios 3? Like, that's an old scanner. Like, there's better ones out there than that, But And they don't know this, but whatever the reps. Anyway, I'm going on, but went to Dentaltown 2013, then kind of moved on to Facebook, and then I said, you know what, I want to start a denture clinic in New Orleans. Kind of know the denture general. I worked for, I should start back. I did Medicaid dentistry for a while around the state of Louisiana. I really like Medicaid. Actually, it's a lot of fun. I'm a poor man. I'm a rural dentist. I'm a poor man's dentist.
That's cool.
I don't quite
Seriously, that's cool. It really is.
Yeah. And you know, started a denture clinic here in New Orleans. Probably about a third to half of my stuff is dentures. I still do a lot of general dentistry because it's hard to just be a denture only office. That you're really limiting yourself.
Agree.
Yeah, and that's kind of then 2018, 2019 started just kind of slowly teaching with the idea of being like, hey, I think there's too many dentists out there that just teach. Like, no disrespect to Masada because he's obviously a phenomenal dentist.
Yeah,
I think there's there's too much emphasis on how do we make this stuff so high end that it's unaffordable to the regular person. Like dentists out there say they can't do dentures because it's taking 6 steps and they can't do that at a PPO fee. And I understand.
A friend of mine said, and I think this is so true, especially probably like early 2000s before the big financial upheaval in like 06 to 08. But they said there were so many dentists out there and their desire was to be Neiman Marcus. And he said, which is fine, you can be Neiman Marcus, but who takes care of everybody that has to shop at Walmart? And I thought that was really profound because it's true. Like I said, you can offer high-end services, but if there's a huge portion of the population that can't afford it, where do they go for help? So I think it's awesome you're doing this.
Well, I mean, that's why how did Heartland Dental get so damn big? It's because Heartland Dental said, that's what they focused on. They didn't focus on the high-end stuff. They focused on just the middle of the road, low-end stuff. Or that's what Rick Kirshner did with leaning in Comfort Dental model. And I mean, how many cosmetic practices died during 2008, 2009? Just because you went through that. I only know the stories about it. You went through it. But I mean, I think that I get bummed out when I see young dentists who only want to do high-end dentistry. And I'm like, good luck. That's a tough market to crack because you got to be at the top of your game all the time.
Yes, you do.
Going against 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds who have not only the hand skills, but also the personal skills that it really takes to sell that high-end, dentistry. Because that's not easy dentistry to sell at all.
No, it isn't.
And whereas my stuff is easy to sell, I'm just saying, let's take us some teeth and do some dentures. For a low cost.
Let me give you the ability to chew again that you haven't had for the last,
maybe. I don't know if you can chew with it. I don't know if you can chew or not with them. They're dentures. I mean, I just say, honestly, I just say smile again. I'm not even selling chewing. I'm just saying these people, I don't know how people chew with dentures. It takes practice, It does. But I mean, if you can get somebody back a smile, that gets people jobs. That just gets people laid. People can eat somewhat other way. I don't know how people eat. But I mean, that's implant problem. If people want to eat well, that's an implant problem then, right?
Yeah, true.
So, but no, you get somebody back smiling again, you get out social again. That's to me, that's a win enough right there. And then they can figure
absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my story right there. And then obviously when you start doing your own lab work, so I started doing 3D printing from watching Corey Glenn's stuff back in 2017, 2018. Got a Sprint Ray, the Moon Ray S. Use NextDent resins. The NextDent resins actually are pretty damn good resins, honestly. They don't get a lot of love, but they still are. Those dentures still hold up pretty damn well.
That's good to hear because I haven't tried that, so that's good advice. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll give that a whirl.
Well, they're older. I wouldn't recommend them anymore because they're expensive and they're kind of harder to work with. But I've got but they're still good. I guess the point is like some of the older stuff still works out pretty well. I've had very few issues with it. And they're easy to cure is probably the bigger thing. It's easy resin to cure was the bigger thing about it.
Yep.
And those dentures have held up over time. Everyone said these dentures are going to be breaking on you immediately. And I said, well, let's find out.
Yep.
And my dentures
the only way I always say it always works great on the lab bench, but until it actually goes into the real world, nobody knows for sure. So
yeah. And I literally I have done over a few hundred arches, or maybe I've done maybe 500, 600, 700 arches of dentures with 3D printed dentures right now that I've made in my office.
Yeah.
I'd believe that right now. And I've not been having failures like everyone's been saying I should. So I've kind of, I'm literally bleeding edge to a certain extent. 'Cause I've definitely had failures. I've had ones just shatter on me and be like, oh shit, and then you remake them.
Right.
Or worst case scenario, you say, I really messed up here, man. You have a lab and remake it for you the conventional way.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the technology of it all, but it's kind of fun.
But
it's
the
really a
great
lot of
thing
fun.
is, if you're printing dentures, which I think is super cool, then, somebody calls and if God forbid it does break, you print another one. If it,
Oh,
if it
exactly.
worked and they've dropped it or, whatever, they've gone on a cruise. I actually heard a story of a guy that came back from a cruise and threw up in a trash can. And he was so loaded, he didn't realize that his denture went out with it. And he came back from the cruise without a denture. But yeah, if something like that happens, then you just press the print button. As long as they were happy with it, it's like presto. It's not, like, oh my gosh, now we've got to go through, the 18 steps or, whatever it is to do it. So Corey, who I haven't had on yet, but I'm going to have him on, is like phenomenal with this. So you started watching him, and that's kind of what got you into this.
Not so. I didn't really start watching him. It's more that when Blue
You're
Sky
muted
plant.
for
Well,
some
it's what.
reason.
Well, pardon me.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. Oh, hold on a second.
Not sure why. Okay.
Am I still muted?
Because on the screen it doesn't say you're muted. I don't have a little like
Yeah.
no microphone thing, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm muted. Am I still muted?
I'll
right
tell you
now?
what. Let's just both log out, log back in, see if that fixes
Okay.
it. How's that?
Okay. Is that better now?
Still can't hear you.
Okay, let me try one more
Make
thing.
sure that let me change over to my speakers and make sure it's not on my end, because I've seen some weird stuff happen here. So let me do that real quick.
Okay. Can you hear me now or not? No? Or not hear me or not hear me, or my audio is going on. Let's see here.
There we go.
Okay, you hear me
I
now?
got you. I don't know what it was. It must have been
Perfect.
something on my end. So
That was weird. Yeah. Sorry about that. Weird.
no, like I said, I don't know what happened, but I changed over to my laptop speakers and I got you just fine. So
the wonders of modern technology, right? That's always the fun of running podcasts,
it's great
right?
when it works. That's what I always say. It's great when it works. So anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So
So we're talking about Corey Glenn.
yeah. So you saw Corey, you watched some of his stuff, and then where'd you go from there?
Well, actually, what happened was I saw Corey Glenn when Blue Sky Plan started doing dentures. I said, "Oh, this solves a problem for me." And the problem being, most of my patients the biggest, easiest money in my office was immediate dentures.
Okay.
Immediate dentures are where I tell everyone to get started with because there's so much fat on the bone.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I tell everyone to get started with this stuff is, if you want to do design, well, right now my recommendation in July 2025 is do this. Unless you really want to do design, don't do design, because design's where everyone gets clubbed at. There's so many places out there to do design for you, and the power of 3D printing is speed and control more than anything else.
Yeah, I totally agree. Speed and control are the two words. Absolutely.
It's not cost. You're not going to. You can send to a cheap Chinese lab. Because a cheap Chinese lab, next dental lab will charge like $65 for a cheap denture, and that's going to be cheaper than anything you've designed. I know that right now, and that's going to be cheaper than you do in office. So it's not a cost thing. It's a speed and control thing.
Yep.
But anyway, started doing immediate dentures and just started printing out. I said, I'm going to charge you, $300 for an immediate denture that looks ugly as sin. We take out the teeth out, and then 6 months later, I'm going to charge you for a nice high-end denture.
Okay.
But the problem always was that people could afford, one nice denture, but they wanted the immediate, and then 6 months later, they come back and say, well, I want another denture, but I just paid you,
Yep.
They took out 30 teeth. I just paid $15,000, Dr. Schaefer. Why do I want to get a second denture?
Right.
Well, that wasn't part of the deal. And they said, well, yeah, I just paid you a lot of money. And so you get angry patients about that.
Sure.
And so, I initially started doing this, ugly printed for said dentures. Now what I do for all my dentures, I do a immediate printed denture that I charge for
Okay.
full price. Then in 1 month, I do a second interim denture that I remake. And that second healing denture solves all my problems. Like it solves so many healing problems. Then I get to fix, everything's healed back. It costs me nothing to make another denture. Honestly, it costs me, what's Pactin resin? I use Pactin. I use Pactin and Voco. They're both about the same cost, give or take.
Yeah.
So it costs me maybe $30 to $40 to print another set of dentures.
Something like that. Yeah. Not a ton of money. No, not at all.
If you use design service, it's about $50 to $100 an arch to design a set of dentures, depending on who you use. And guess what? If a patient just paid you, let's say taking out 20 teeth, let's say half surgical, so 10 teeth surgical, 10 teeth simple. If you do some grafting in there and you just got to pay for a full set of dentures, that's a lot of money right there. The patient just paid you.
Yep.
It's a lot of money. You can make a free set of dentures right there to have the patient be happy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that gives the patient a good experience.
Yep.
And then they come back 6 months later and they can now afford a second set of dentures for you. Or if they don't come back in 6 months, they at least have a nice set that they can get through for a few years until finances make more sense.
And that's one of the big things is, you've got the psychological part of it up front with the cost. And then, like you said, you flip around, and if they have to wait a couple of years, they've got something completely functional and usable. They can smile, and then they can, then they can put the dimes in the piggy bank and come back in 2 years. Nothing wrong with that at all. I love that philosophy.
Exactly. So it's kind of a nice win-win. Everyone's winning here. That's because I think too often we want to. I think the insurance companies have kind of broken us. And I'm a PPO guy. I'm totally PPO and Medicaid. So I'm not going to be like preaching everyone to go fee for service. I'm not that way at all. But I think insurance companies have kind of broken us where it's either it's a win-lose deal. And it shouldn't be that way with our patients. It should be win-win. How do we both benefit from this deal here?
Yeah. They've put themselves between us as almost like a negotiator. It's almost like having a manager to negotiate a contract. And of course, they're going to, try and get as low as they can. So they're going to make us look bad while they do it, or, look like we're greedy. We're just trying to make a living like everybody else.
We've gone away from the whole concept of a win-win. Yeah. I think it's a freaking shame.
Yeah, it is.
So I think with 3D printing I think now with I think that goes the same with labs too. Labs do this whole thing is like they're losing out of the whole situation. I don't think they're losing at all. I think that there's so much synergy that can be had with us manufacturing an office.
Yep.
There's just new technology. So
I mean, everything evolves. I love this story of Alexander Graham Bell took the telephone to Western Union first and proposed it to them, wanted to sell the rights to it to them. And they were like, well, that'll put the telegraph out of business. And he was like, yeah, but you'll be able to send the sound of the human voice. And they were like, no, thank you, move on. And he went to a much smaller competitor, sold it. Everything evolves. And
why did Kodak go out of business? Kodak went out of business because they didn't want to do the damn digital camera, even though they invented the freaking thing. And but why did Apple succeed? Because Apple knows that they have to, outmake their new product.
I mean, look at Blockbuster. Same thing exactly. Why do I have a subscription to Netflix and I don't have a subscription to Blockbuster? It's because they didn't hop on the digital bandwagon. So
exactly, 100%.
You mentioned something a second ago that I think is really critical. I think that for years, maybe a decade or so, 3D printing has been pretty dang good in dentistry. But the big thing was the design aspect of it. People could, push the print button and print a model, for instance. That was pretty easy. But it was the whole thing. And I remember the first time I saw 3D printing, they opened I think it was Blender. It's one of those, engineering software packages. And I always say that if you had to open Photoshop and edit a photo and then upload it to Instagram. Instagram wouldn't have ever taken off, but it's the idea of, push a button, take a photo, push button, it goes, up to your feed is totally different. So how did you learn to do the design work? I know you said that a lot of your dentures, you don't do design, but.
Oh no, actually I do. I actually do a lot of the own design for myself.
Okay, cool.
Mostly because I hate mostly because I hate myself.
Okay.
But
So
it just really just the same way I learned how to do pediatric dentistry, just through trial and error, honestly. You get in there and you just say, let's just do it. And it's a school of hard knocks. I mean, how do you learn anything in dentistry? How do you learn how to give a good shot? You do 1,000 good shots and you mess up quite a few of them. And the answer is the thing about dentistry, you say, I think what I tell patients is whenever you mess up, you own it, you say, let's do it again. It sucks to me in that spot.
Right.
You will have flops, and then you say, let's do it again. And dentures are pretty darn unforgiving when they mess up, especially with bites, with occlusion.
Yep.
And I think Mike DeTola put it best when we started doing digital dentistry. How we as dentists like to blame the labs for everything.
Oh yeah.
We love to. And I think digital dentistry has kind of shown that we are usually the problem, not the labs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I love Mike. I love Mike DeTola.
Yeah, all of his lectures are phenomenal. I think that he really shines the mirror back at us and says, we are really the problem, not the labs here. The labs have been doing everything we've been telling them.
Yeah.
Like kind of the way I got started in digital dentistry, this guy said, man, why are my margins of my crowns always open? The labs must be effing up. And I started doing my own crowns and said, why are my margins always opened up? And I said, that's because I'm not packing core. And that's because I'm not really doing a good job with taking impressions here.
Right. Right. Which is incredibly critical in everything in prosthetics, whether it's, removable or fixed. If you don't get what's there, it's not going to turn out right.
That's exactly it. So I think that what's going on with a lot of design work is that, the design work is important for dentists to learn how to do because it makes you a better dentist, because it makes you a better, when you have to do your own lab work, you start realizing your scans need to be better, your bites need to be better. But it's kind of like how a lot of PROS programs make the PROS residents do their own lab work. Because they don't do their own lab work, they never realize how important it is to get good impressions and get good bites.
Yeah.
And I think that it is a shame that dental schools don't do that anymore. I think that we need to, I think that there's, I don't know, if I talk about this with some of my friends, how we should have, it's sad that how dental schools, what they actually teach now. I don't know. I think there's better ways to learn dental schools now. Like almost back to the old school,
I think what they lean on, in my opinion, at least when I went to school, is they leaned kind of on the why. The why would you do this? What, but they never really, and I think they've gotten away from it now much more so than when I went to school, was the how. When you have to do it all yourself and you understand every little piece of it. This is kind of a funny story. I interviewed the guy who's the CEO of Accuretta not too long ago.
Oh yeah, I know Ayush.
Yeah, okay. And he graduated with a degree in additive manufacturing, which I thought was incredible. And then he went into jewelry right out of school. And, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just like hand in glove with dentistry, the whole lost wax technique and all that kind of thing. So he understood that. And I always tell patients, like when patients come in, you don't see in my area, you don't see a lot of gold anymore. And whenever a patient comes in, a new patient exam, if they've got gold crowns or gold inlays or onlays, I always tell them, I said, gold to like my generation of dentists is kind of like your high school girlfriend. You just never quite get over it, and it's always fun to see it because, the process, I had to wax my own crowns and cast my own crowns. And I learned the how. And I really do think coming back to what you were talking about is I think the how makes you better at the why, because you get it. That, like a lab technician told me, he says, I can only make something on what was giving me. I don't do the prep, or I don't do the impression or the scan. And if I don't have
Mhm.
that information, it's impossible for me to do my job. And I think if you've had to do their job for a while, if it's just in education, you kind of learn what they need to do that job. And if you don't
Right.
have that, you know,
Mhm.
it just doesn't. I saw a comic a while back. I thought it was really funny. He was talking about, like he said, if I got in a time machine and they put me back like the 1900s, that I would die because I'd be like, oh well, where's the electricity? And they're like, well, what's electricity? And you're like, well, you flip the switch and the lights come on. Well, how do they do that? Hell if I know.
Yeah.
He was talking about all the things
Exactly.
that he didn't know how to do. And it's really true because if you don't know how to do it, I think it's harder to fix stuff if you don't know the
Mhm.
process of fixing it. So,
Exactly. No, I agree. And I think the sad thing about dental school now too is like, when I graduated in 2013, like it'd be unpractical for me to learn how to stack porcelain
right.
on PFMs. Because there's zirconia was just coming out, but you can never teach a student at that point in 2009, 2010, 2011 to use zirconia. That'd be hard to
Right.
do. But
Mhm.
right now, a student could easily learn how to blue sky plans free,
Yeah.
for students, which is phenomenal. Those blue sky bio owners are great guys.
And the
I mean, there's no reason why.
dentists,
Exactly,
so they
exactly. They're
get
great.
it.
They
Yeah.
get it. I mean, honestly, I think that students should be learning how to design their own crowns. Because
Hmm.
imagine how much scan that. Okay, I do think there's a lot of power still in students taking PBS because a lot of dentists, with their first association, might not have a scanner.
Yes.
So it's still learn PBS,
Yeah.
but scan that on PBS and design your own zirconia crowns or design a printed crown. I don't care. Yeah, have a lab to do it. But guess what? If you design that printed crown, print it on I'm sure the schools probably don't have even though I'm not a big sprint ray fan, they probably have sprint rays in every single darn school.
Right.
Just put a darn sprint ray Onyx crown there, just see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And the students will learn so much more being like, oh, look, my crown looks great or it looks like crap.
Yep.
And that's a learning experience right there for the student. I think would teach more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be easy to implement now in schools too. In 2025, you can do that for pennies.
Teaching it in schools, it's not expensive to do
Mm-hmm.
this. It's not like you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, in funds to bring this online. You can get a system for 20, 30 grand.
Hell, you could
And
do a system for $5,000. You get a couple
yeah,
of frozens with
yep,
an auto flash. You could be, obviously, I think there's, you and I both. Well, I got a couple of frozen, but I think you and I both had higher end printers than that.
yes,
But yeah, you could do something for cheap if you
yeah.
wanted to.
So what do
So
you think of the auto flash?
I love I think that my opinion on auto flash right now is it's sad. It's sad but funny that the auto flash is like old technology, but it still works really damn
But it
well.
works
And
really, really well.
they've got the crock pot or the Instapot curse where they made a machine that's too damn good.
Yeah,
There's a reason why you never see those things on eBay
yeah,
because no one ever sells their auto flash.
yeah,
People sell everything else, but they don't sell their auto flash, and that's because they never have problems with them.
right.
Um, and there's a reason why they're the gold standard outside of. I think it's hilarious that Sprint Ray doesn't make their materials compatible with the auto flash.
Hmm.
I've got it is funny to me that Sprint Ray does that. Um, you know, that's hilarious to me. But
Well,
Sprint Ray
and
has a reason for doing that.
yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
the whole closed versus open just
yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, it makes sense to me. I'm good friends with Stephen Chow. I understand why Sprint Ray does what they do, from a philosophy standpoint, and you know, I understand like the saying we don't want to use nitrogen in our systems. That makes a lot of sense to me. And Sprint Ray makes great materials, but it is funny to me. I can't use Sprint Ray materials in my auto flash. Like, come on, make it. You can figure that out. You can figure out how to make the damn stuff work in auto flash if you wanted to. I know that. You know that.
yeah.
It's not that hard to do.
So how do you feel about like training? Do you think that people should go your route? And I mean, because I wonder because you're a bright guy and you've got obviously an engineering mind, which means that you can figure things out. Do you think the majority of people can figure this out, or do you think they should go somewhere and be trained?
This is my thought on this. I think that dentists, so the most common thing I'm on Rick Ferguson's group, a lot dental 3D
Yeah.
printing.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Roots
or
and
I see it
branches.
or I see it on the groups I'm on is dental 3D printing, real world dentistry, David Yang's group,
Hmm.
Sunny Puja's group, Dylan Investing group, and anyway, big ones.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I see with dentists, they say, I want a printer that does models, that does crowns, that does night guards, that does, and they say literally 5 things.
Right.
And I say, that's too many damn things to do. Um, you need to pick one thing, you know, and just do that. Literally, like I got into 3D printing because I wanted to solve one problem. I want to solve dentures. And I think I took to it because I said, I want to solve one problem, you know.
Hmm.
Um, when I go to Lowe's to buy a tool, a hammer, I'm just looking at hammer and nails. I'm not looking to
Right.
have a screwdriver as well,
Yep.
right? Um, and so what I think kills dent, like I've gone to dental offices before, and I've seen a Sprint Ray Pro 55S, which is
Hmm.
it's a great printer, and that's just sitting in the box in the back. I'm like, hey, what's that? Why do you have a printer back there? They say, oh yeah, we got it, but we didn't know what to print with it. And I'm like, well, what did you want to print? And they said like, I want to do models, I want to do night guards, I want to do, you know, maybe
Dentures and
crowns.
crowns. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, great, let's do it. Let's pull it out right now, and I will show you how to do this. Like, I don't know how to use Sprint Ray, but I can figure it out. Like,
Right.
you know, I know you, like I said, I know y'all use you like the Shining printer. That's a phenomenal printer too. I know you also use the Accurata. I've used Accuratas for years as well. Those are phenomenal printers. We can figure this out. If someone
Yeah.
threw a Sprint Ray printer, you'd figure it out. I was like, let's pull it out right now. Let's get some night guard. Let's get a night guard resin for you. Let's start printing night guards. You know, just do night guards. And like, well, I don't know. I'm like, just do one thing. Just do one thing. Stick with that, and then expand from there. Like I think that I've had friends that have gone, and please don't take this as me throwing any shade at Wally Rennie. Wally Rennie has been a phenomenal force for
Right.
3D printing more than anything else. I see people go to their MOD and they take the 5-day course and learn how to literally do everything in ExoCAD. And then 2 months later, they're like, wait, how do I do a veneer again? And I'm like, you learned
Yeah.
too much stuff in 1 week. Literally, you learned too much stuff. Like, you can only learn one thing and be really good at it unless you're trying to do everything.
Yeah.
So I think that my recommendation is get really good at one thing and then expand from there. You know, it's kind of like you can't go to an implant course and learn to do all X in the weekend and then go home and do all X next week proficiently. You can learn how to do singles and doubles.
Yep.
You know, just get really good at one thing, and then it'll kind of naturally grow over time.
And then if you focus on one thing and you get really good at it, then you can once it just almost goes on to autopilot, then you can get better at something else. I love that philosophy because that scattershot approach, just in life in general, if you're like, I want to buy a new car, I want to buy a new house, I'm going to get married in the next 12 months, I want to have a kid. That's way too much stuff to take on. You know,
yeah,
people don't deal well. I like to say life is like orthodontics. Gradual changes we adapt to, but if you've got crooked teeth and somebody tries to straighten them in a weekend, nobody's happy. And
let's go
it's so
dentures.
true.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think that. So I think that too many dentists like skip. You know, it's easy for any salesman to come in there and say, "Oh, you can do all these things," and they'll sell you it to you. But you're going to be. It's a very tough road to do. Like in right now, I've got literally 13 printers. I'm sure you got a similar number. Everybody
I got
who
a
owns it,
few.
yeah, you've got a few as well. And it does grow naturally over time because printers are so darn cheap that you will collect them. You will collect
Yep.
them easily, and then you'll eventually throw them away. You will find you just start when they break. You say, "Oh, I'm really sorry they broke," and you
Yep.
throw them away. You fix them. Um, and so that's my thought, honestly. Find just one simple use case, and it does it. But it also, if you don't like it, because not everybody takes to it. Some
Right.
people say, "I really don't enjoy this." Well, good. You don't enjoy it. Find another use for it. You know,
Mhm.
every single dentist out there can find a use for a crown and bridge printer. I guarantee you that. You
Yeah.
know, you can definitely find a use for a crown and bridge printer because almost everybody does anterior temps, and anterior temps suck. I despise doing anterior temporaries.
Mhm.
And my interior aesthetics got so much better after I started printing anterior temporaries. Because guess what? Now I can say to the patient, hey, guess what? This is exactly what your teeth will look like. Do you like them or not? And if
Bingo.
they don't like it,
Yes.
and so there's no more lab tryings anymore. There's no more.
Yeah.
Um, so
If
you
you've
know,
been
even if
doing
you,
this for a while too, I'd be willing to bet it's happened to me, and I know it's happened to some friends. But you put some, like an anterior cosmetic case, you put it on, and then 3 months later, you're cutting it back off. I haven't had to do that a lot, but I've had to do it on a couple of occasions. Being
Mhm.
able to work that out with these aesthetic temporaries, and like you said, here, let's let you wear them for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. You know they're going to look good. You know they're going to hold up. And then when they say, yes, this is exactly what I
Yeah.
want, just recreate it. It makes it so much easier. So much easier.
It's phenomenal, honestly. And but I think that, like I said, even if you buy a printer, you're like, I hate this thing,
Mhm.
unless you're an endodontist, which I don't know why I didn't also buy it. But like seriously, just do crown and bridge resin. Keep some crown and bridge resin in there. There's a lot of great crown and bridge resins in there,
Yes.
and you will find a time to print a crown in your office at some point in your life.
Yep.
Or a monolithic flipper. Where you're like, I need a monolithic flipper tomorrow.
Yeah.
Great. And just keep a simple curio in the office, not a frozen curio, not a cheap little $200 frozen curio. You need
Right.
nice curio units. And that's my recommendation to every single dentist out there, because everyone needs to be able to print crowns in their office. Everyone needs to be able to manufacture crowns in their office, at least nice temporaries, not
Yep.
necessarily permanents, or whatever
Right.
you want to call them, ceramic
Well,
crowns.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. So just as a backstory to me, I'm Catholic and I like Catholic
Mhm.
jokes. So I tell patients when we 3D print something like that, like crown, um, I tell them, I said, these are purgatory crowns. I said, they're
I
not
like it.
temporaries. They're not really permanent. They're kind of in that weird, area in between. But what's great about that is, like working out your aesthetics, working out vertical dimension, or getting back to your whole thing of like with the dentures, if maybe somebody, maybe you've got somebody that's come into your office and for whatever reason they're just out of college and they're starting their career, or they've had some tragedy that's drained them financially. If you can get them by for 2-3 years on a
Mhm.
purgatory restoration and let them save for a great, zirconia or lithium disilicate or whatever it is, I mean, that's a great service to the patient, as opposed to just walk around with a broken tooth for the next 3 years. And when you've got the cash, come back and see us. I mean,
Mhm.
you can getting back to your thing about allowing somebody to smile. I
Mhm.
can't get a job because number 8 is horribly fractured, but we all know composite isn't going to hold up, and I can't afford a crown. So what do I do? Well, here's your middle of the road option. I think that's a great thing to offer people.
And they're holding up I've been doing a lot of these patent sculpture 2.0 crowns.
It's a
I know
phenomenal
patent
resin.
Ryan Solzano keeps telling me it's not the prettiest resin. It looks pretty damn good. Like the
It
interior's been
does.
looking pretty damn Ryan. I love you, dude. It's a pretty looking resin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My have been looking good, and you know what? Patients been liking. I've been doing anteriors with them for these ones. There's like it's easier to match single anteriors with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been telling patients what they are, saying, hey, this is a printed crown. If in a year or two it looks terrible, I will redo this in zirconia. That cost me a few bucks from Alien Milling, and
Yeah.
I got zero qualms with just cutting it off, and because they're easy to cut. Like thank God they're easy to cut off. Like
Yeah.
I've had to prep them again for temporaries that stuck on there much. They're easy to cut them off. But they look pretty, and they've been holding it pretty darn well. And I agree with you. I think it's easier to like because all these guys who do these composites that look beautiful, like Artie Volker. Yeah, Artie Volker
Right.
is a better composite guy than I am. I got
Oh,
zero
better than
minutes.
me.
Yeah, I got zero issues saying. I'm like, let's make some tooth dust here
Right.
and bomb one of these buggers on there. It's gonna look really pretty. Yeah, I can do that all day long. So, and it's predictable. That's the biggest thing about it, 'cause patients want predictability more than anything else.
Yes.
And
Yeah. They don't want it coming off. They want it to be pretty. They want it to be functional. Some people do. And
yeah,
that's really it.
yeah,
It's really,
and
what are you using to design?
um, between Blue Sky, usually I've been using Blue Sky Plan. I love Blue
Okay.
Sky Plan because it's just so. Well, so here's what I do. I teach Blue Sky Plan
Okay.
because it's free. Honestly, I think that I'm not a big fan of like dentists going out there and buying exocad
Mm-hmm.
because it's 4,000, 5,000 bucks. And then it's almost like Alliance pretty much got everyone, even the people that buy the permanent one. You almost got
Right.
to buy the yearly updates, otherwise it's worthless after a few years. Because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to buy the what's it now? Kimnitz is the next one, or
Mm-hmm.
um,
I
you
believe
know,
so.
yeah. So you got to pretty much pay the extra $1,000 or $2,000 a year for the updates for it if you want to keep it updated. So I teach everyone Blue Sky Plan, saying, hey, try the Blue Sky Plan out, see if you like it or not. But I use XCAD for a lot of my design work, just because it's more fun. So I'm doing both of them. But I stay updated with Blue Sky Plan, just because it's easy. But I use XCAD for a lot of my higher end stuff. Like it's nice. XCAD is nice for copying stuff.
And the nice thing about that is I'm a big one on choices, and it gives you the choices. If I want to work, with this, I've got this case and I know this works really well with that, rather than trying to hammer yourself, into one platform. And I love Blue Sky's business model, hey, here's the software, just download it and use it. And then you just pay when you want the file. I mean, I think that's genius.
Well, for Crown and Bridge, they're free. That's the beautiful thing about it. Like they're like, they only charge out for dentures and surgical guides and ortho. And so like it's nice for dentists who want to do Crown and Bridge. I mean, that's a beautiful thing right there. I mean, how can you go wrong with that? And actually, I find that actually I do a lot of like reverse survey crowns, as I call them right now.
Okay.
And it's a lot easier to design a reverse survey crown in Blue Sky Plan than in exocad, because they're Boolean mesh, where they pretty much do like Boolean difference.
Yeah.
With the aerial scan, the aerial scan does a really damn good job scanning a metal RPD. Phenomenal job. So you can scan the metal RPD, merge it to the denture, and then if you prep that tooth, it will just merge everything nicely. And then you can just put a crown on there and just do a Boolean difference, and almost like it'll get a perfect cut of that crown back. And I've done a couple reverse survey crowns where I've gotten a perfect fit to that partial again.
So you reverse survey crown because it's kind of a backwards process of what you would expect. Okay.
Right. That's what I'm calling it almost. You have to make the partial. You have to make the crown fit the partial.
Real quick, walk me through this, because I think this is a fascinating way to do this. So just in case people don't know, just kind of talk.
Okay. So actually, I'll post a case about it. I got it. So here's how it works. Like a patient comes on in, 27's popped off.
Okay.
How to describe it? So actually, let me take a step back. I have gotten away from doing zirconias for abutments for partials, because I find them just to be, I can't bind them very predictably. I like using Sculpture 2.0. I've had a lot of success with that for the past year and a half or a year, however long it's been out for. And it wears nicely. So this patient came in to a 27 popped off, lost the crown, has a nice metal RPD that he likes. Scan the crown looks great. I mean, the prep looks great. Just scan the prep, scan the partial, put in a Blue Sky Plan, put a crown on there that was kind of molded the tooth.
Right.
Fabricated the crown in Blue Sky Plan. Then just do what's called Boolean difference, which is where it takes the crown and just subtracts off where the partial is. So you literally got like just divots around the crown, almost like imagine like a wax. And then you just kind of smooth around a little bit more, make it just a little prettier.
So when you do the scan of the partial, are you doing it with the partial in place or outside of the mouth, or both?
Outside the mouth. Okay. Outside the mouth. Yeah, outside the mouth. With the Aero Scan Elite.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is such a darn good little scanner.
It is a nice scanner.
It's a really nice scanner. And then the software merges the patient's mouth. The software merges the arch to the partial pretty easily. And because you have those two things merged together, it just knows how the coordinates of everything together. So it has an easy time figuring out how to make the crown cut back appropriately. That's all. I don't know I'm not doing a very good job explaining it. Unfortunately,
it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to you. It's not making sense to your audience. So I guess I will. By the time this podcast comes out, I will have a Facebook post on how to do this.
There you go.
Cool. That you can link to, because it was a really cool process. And I said, this should be how we do it right now. Because guess what? Like this guy had a crown that he literally couldn't get the darn partial out. Like I had to kind of polish the crown back a little bit.
Okay.
I know. Sorry, I got a dog that's
all right.
Yeah. No, but I had to kind of polish the crown back just a little bit there. But I'm happy too, because I know that I'm curious to see how the zirconia is going to wear. I mean, I'm curious to see how the sculpture is going to wear a little bit over time. because it's going to wear compared to the zirconia.
Right.
But he had a really nice fitting crown in his mouth. He's like, oh, I can't get this partial out right now, but he got it out because it was
Yeah.
but yeah, this is nice about 3D print, the 3D process now is that things are fitting nicely.
The nice thing about this too is, I mean, I can remember back in the day of having to prep in your situation here with a tooth that is supporting a partial, and then you've got to put the impression material in the mouth with the partial in place, pop the whole thing out, then pour the model. If it's something, I'm thinking of like anterior stuff where it's like, they've got a couple of anterior teeth on. So, well, I can't be without my teeth for a week. And so you're pouring the model, trying to let the model set, then trying to, pop the impression back off the model, then try and tease that partial back off the model without breaking anything. I mean, that was incredibly high stress as opposed to what you can do with the oral scan and just, here you go.
Exactly. Like, well, it got to the point where you almost had to tell patients, we got to remake your partial. Like, I'm sorry, if you want to do this right, you want to make your partial. Patient said, well, I don't want to spend, triple the cost of my crown right here.
Right.
Like that was you say, well, then we gotta really take and guess what? You get an inferior product right now. And they say, well, I just spent how much money on this crown right now? This crown, then it's a crappy service to patients, but that's the best we had back then. And you're like, well, it's a wonderful service we now provide to patients that makes everything cheaper for everyone involved, which is an extra click of the button.
Yeah.
Everyone's winning. And it's a phenomenal place to be at in 2025.
And even if a worst case scenario of, like you print the crown, you try it in, and for some reason, you just didn't build it enough, to really retain, just change the design and print another one. It's not like, okay, now we're back to square one, Mrs. Brown, we're going to have to, it's the service and the time that it takes you to do that. I mean, there's no time to do that hardly. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been using the Dentistry printer, which I've been loving, honestly, because it takes like literally 6 minutes to 8 minutes to print out a crown. I mean, I know right now we're kind of, it seems like this is kind of funny. Ever since I've been showing these cases with 6 minute, 8 minute Sculpture 2.0 crowns, packed in. I mean, they've been showing other what's it called? Sprint been showing how you do in the Pro 2 in 6 to 8 minutes. I'm like, well, you've not been showing that for the past few years as well. But you know what I mean? It takes no time anymore to make a crown in your office. I've been loving my Dentistry printer so much. But I'm excited.
That one?
I've had it for 2 months right now, or maybe a month and a half.
Okay.
I'm loving it. I'm loving these 385 printers. Has Shining released their 385 printer yet? Their F1?
No, not yet. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I'm excited to see when they release their F1 printer. I think this will be a really good printer.
I agree.
I think that's where the market needs to go with these Crown and Bridge printers. I've been like just loving my 385.
The 385s do some phenomenal stuff. They really truly.
Yeah. And I think no one understands if you have a 385 printer, like how much. So the 405, we're talking about wavelength right now.
Yeah.
You just don't quite realize just how much faster it is for Crown and Bridge resins until you just play with it. Oh my goodness, this thing is just night and day difference.
Yeah, it is. I was stunned. First time I tried a 385, I wasn't really expecting anything different, and it started. I was like, it's only going to take that long.
Yeah.
The efficiency of it is phenomenal.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what Shining does with their printers. Shining makes some good stuff as well. But anyway, but I agree. Like, I think that's if it's not done right, you just do it again. It costs you $2 or $3 with the Sculpture 2.0 resin,
right?
And throw in the auto flash or whatever. And that's a wonderful service to patients.
I mean, you save the files, Yeah. And if you need to do something again, I mean, the same thing. Getting back to the denture, if they have a denture that they really like, and they get hit in the face with a golf club and the denture breaks, so you just push a button,
Exactly. 100%. It's been a fun journey. I think the only issue I've had with them, honestly, is I kind of wish that we could get a little, Well, it'll be cool to see what happens when we get to more multi-layer stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens whenever, I right now I work with a company called Voyager that does more of the jet dentures, like the multicolored dentures.
Yeah.
And obviously those are not really a dental printer. It's not a dental office printer
Right.
because they're
Yeah.
pretty much just machines. They're $100,000 machines. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if those ever become more of a dental office machine. Because I'm sure at some point they'll come around.
I mean, you look at I was doing some video work earlier this year for a company, and we were doing like close-up hands-on stuff on some typodonts, and we shot the video. I think we figured out that we had about, I think it was like $1,000 worth of camera equipment. And 10 years ago, that would have been like $15,000. You would have been in a studio, with these
Mhm.
massive lights and these big cameras, and everything keeps getting smaller, faster, and better. I mean,
Oh yeah.
even printing, just in the time probably that you've been in it, the speed, the efficiency, the accuracy, all of that
Well,
is
the
just,
time you've been in, honestly, I mean, like think about like these frozen mini 8Ks. That would 10 years ago would have been a $20,000-$30,000 printer.
yeah,
I mean, well, heck, with Rick Ferguson's setup, you can literally make the mini 8KS the same speed as a Pro S55, Pro 55S. I've seen the speeds on it, and it's the same damn printer.
yeah.
And that's impressive. Like what used to be a $10,000 printer is now done for $1,000. And that's how
Well,
it should be.
let me ask you this. Do you, as far as, because you've got a lot of printers to choose from, do you have, like, if I'm going to do a denture, I'm going to do it on that one. And if I'm going to do a crown, I do it on that one. It doesn't matter to you.
Yes, I do. Every single printer has its resin.
Okay.
Every single. I'm a very much. I don't like changing out resins at all. The more you change
Okay.
out
Get
resins,
you.
the more things break.
Yep.
So like pretty soon, I'm actually, because I work with Voco.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a P20 from Rapid Shape because Rapid Shape plays nice with Voco resins.
Right.
So yeah, I'm about to make Voco kind of anyway, that's kind of what I'm going next, since that's how it works. But I've also kind of figured out how to make the profiles on my 8K work on
Right.
Voco resins. If you just know how to just change profiles around,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, because but just because it's but so yeah, pretty much I name it each my, if you, I don't know if you name your printers, but I name all my printers after rappers.
Oh my gosh. No, I've never named a printer. I may have to start doing that. That's golden.
Yeah. So my printers in my house, I've got house printers. I got house printers. I got office printers.
Right.
My house printers are named after Mardi Gras parades. My office printers are named after rappers. Keep them both separate. But yeah. But but
That's
each
funny.
one of them, and it just makes everything easier that way. And everyone has more fun.
I've named my computers, but I've never named my printers. Now I'm going to have to figure out good names for all of them.
Yeah, keep a theme with it all. Like whether it's
Yeah.
Star Wars, Star Trek, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can just be mad at them for whenever they start effing up. You're like, why the hell is it doing this? So
That's beautiful. So, since you do a lot of dentures, real quick, talk me through your process. Somebody comes in, you mentioned earlier, somebody comes in, 20 teeth left, 10 surgical, 10 non-surgical. Kind of walk me through the appointments, if you would, for what you're doing for those folks.
So really, where we start at is assuming financials are, let's say financials are done, they say yes
Right.
to treatment.
Yeah.
First get good models, good impressions,
Mm-hmm.
and that means whatever that means. We try with the AeroScan Elite. Usually that does a pretty good job with everything.
Okay.
Every now and then I can't do good borders, because I don't care how good you are. Sometimes you just can't scan everything like you want to.
Yep.
If that happens, that takes some alginate, because I love alginate still. Alginate still has its place in dentistry, especially for removal.
It does.
Snap some alginates and scan the borders, because it'll merge really easily with the AeroScan Elite.
Okay.
And then if I can get a good bite, get a bite with the AeroScan as well. If not, if I can't get a good bite, let's say the bite's just collapsed or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the bite's like super collapsed and there's no way for me to get the bite that same day.
Sure.
I will actually send them home. I'll design some bite rims in Exocad or Blue Sky Plan.
Okay.
I'll print them out on my FDM printer out of food grade PLA filament, because that's really cheap. It's like, you can buy a pound, you can buy 2 pounds of it for $25.
Yeah.
So print out FDM printer, and then bring them back with the Aeroscan Elite. You can almost merge those files really easily. I treat it like a bite rim, get a good bite on them, and then from there fabricate it. And then, after you get the bite, send it back home again.
Okay.
Design the denture from there. After you design the denture, have them come on in, take all the teeth out, put the denture in, and then you call it a day. I tell every single patient, you're gonna, come back to see me in a day, and then come back to see me in a week.
Okay.
I warn every single patient, your first day is gonna be fine, your second night is gonna be terrible. They say, ha ha ha. They call me after 3 days saying, I'm doing terrible. After 1 week, they're not doing very good. Yep, that's normal. After 1 month, assuming they paid me fee for service money.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, but my Medicaid patients don't get this deal. My high-end patients get this deal. But after 1 month, for my high-end patients, I remake the denture for them for no charge.
Okay.
And after 1 month, we usually at that point, either we reline the dentures, or what's the word for it? We will either reline the dentures and scan them, or sometimes if there's not too much healing that's happened so much, the aerial scan will just be able to pick up how the dentures healed up. The aerial scan can kind of figure out, merge the arch to the denture pretty easily, depending on how everything goes. That's what we do. And then we just make another set from there and fix everything that they don't like. And then they come back to see me in 6 months. So.
Do you ever do, I'm thinking more along the lines of somebody that's maybe already got dentures and it's, what they've got, they're pretty happy with, but it's just time for new ones. Do you ever do a try-in denture? Kind of just like, single color, just.
Yeah, I do this.
Try it.
Oh yeah, I do this with FDM printed dentures. It's cheap. And honestly, I don't like this. The single color I find confuses patients too often because they can't see the gums very easily.
Right.
So whenever I did like the nice try-in edges with the packing resin or with another try-in resin, patients didn't quite appreciate the teeth. They're like, oh, that looks good. And then I look upon it closer, like, I don't know. I don't like it as much because patients can't quite see the tooth versus the gums.
Right.
If that makes sense. So it's like,
I
never really found that much use for it. Honestly, I found it more.
Okay.
I am more likely to just go to two-step it, just take a photo of them and just go right to finish. And then if I mess up, just redo it again.
Okay. That's fair.
So yeah, that's why I was just curious
because some folks are really big of those and then there's,
I don't, unless something's like really weird, I don't find a lot of value in try-ins unless I'm going right from, I'll do try-ins if I have questions. But if I don't have questions, I'm going to go right to finish.
Okay.
So yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you about with dentures, because I think this is one of the big advantages of 3D printing. I want to get your take on this. Is people come in and once again, it's somebody that's had dentures for however long, they really like them. Maybe the, things are just fading, the tissue portion of it doesn't look good anymore. Like I need new dentures, but I'm really happy with like the way these fit and the way they function, the bite and everything. It is so much easier, I think, to replicate that than it is trying to build something the old way, with impressions and all that sort of stuff. Is that your take on it as well? I'm assuming it probably is.
So I've got a very weird thought on this, honestly.
Okay, good.
This I actually kind of disagree with that because I think that people, and the reason is this, it's kind of like people don't know what they want until they see it. So this is my thought. This is what I tell people.
Okay.
Oftentimes those people are usually women. Men don't feel that way. It's almost always women who tell you that, oh, I like this denture. This is the perfect denture. And they're almost always worn in. They're almost collapsed videos. And things are just so broken down, they get that mom face. And I've had too many 9-year-olds I've had to restore where I've got no more VDO remaining. And I can't work with them anymore. Like literally everything's just, there's just no more room to restore them at.
Right.
And I've got to put them in a monolithic denture that looks hideous. I'm like, why can't I smile? Why can't I say my teeth? I'm like, well, I've got no more BDO anymore. I can't open you up anymore. You're 95 years old.
Yeah.
And because dentists over the years have listened to you and they've shrunk you every single time.
Right.
Literally, there's nothing left to work here. You're 95 years old. I can't open you up anymore. And I'm in New Orleans. All the prosthodontists here are all huge wusses. They will not see these Medicaid patients. You know, they demand to get paid $3,000, $4,000 an arch. They're prosthodontists. They can get paid what they want to get paid. So I'm stuck with them. You know, and I'm not a martyr. That's just the reality of it. And so what I tell these women is I tell them, look, I can put you back where you want to be at, but every time I put you back to where you want to be at, you're shrinking. You're getting that mall face. You're getting wrinkles.
Yep.
And they say, oh, I don't want that. So I say, I'm going to open you up. Not a lot, not by the coarse teeth.
Right.
So that's my opinion. I don't like to give
Okay.
people back. They're broken. Things are smaller. We like to be small. We don't want to be small. That's my opinion. So I don't like to copy stuff for that reason. I know exactly what you're talking about right there. But I don't do it for that reason. But I've definitely had a couple patients though that have been like, I want to open you up, and we try and they say, I hate this. And at the end of the day, they're the one wearing it, not me. And so I've copied it. Because guess what? If they're paying me $5,000 for something, and I'm giving something they hated, I'm not gonna be such a stubborn ass. I'm not gonna give them what they want. You know, they just pay me a lot of money. Yeah. I'm not about to, down a hill of something stupid like that. I'm like, yeah, here you go. If you want your damn denture copied again, you're not going to just try to work with me. You're 65 years old. You can adapt to this, but okay, here you go. Here's your exact denture back again. Okay. But that's how I feel about it.
Okay. No, I appreciate that philosophy. It's, I think some people can learn quite a bit from that, because I do feel like a lot of times you do kind of yield to the patient on what they want, and it's not always the smartest thing to do, but it's the easier.
Well, it goes both ways. It's a conversation you got to have with the patient.
Yes.
I think that there's no my way or the highway in my office with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to tell patients like, this is what goes on with it. And yeah, some patients can't tolerate it. Some patients say, I am happy here. If the patient, I'd rather the patient wear the teeth in the end of the day. Yeah. I think that's why dentists hate dentures, honestly. It's like there's too much, we can't control a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why dentists really despise dentures. We can't, we're so used to having micromanagement of every single bit. Mm-hmm. Dentures are really, I've seen some shitty dentures that patients love. I've seen some amazing dentures that patients say, I hate this thing. They're like, this is a technically perfect denture that, Earl Pound could have made.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just how dentures are so weird. And so I think that, I'm there as a guide. I'm there as their Sherpa to kind of get them to where I think they need to be at. Right. But at the end of the day, I tell them like, literally, you're the one walking out with these teeth, not me. And I just kind of want to get you there wherever you're happy at. Because I just want happy patients, man. My goal is to make sure that I never see the patient ever again until they want another set of dentures. That's how I'm happy about.
That's a nice goal to have. I'll tell you, it really truly is. Because that's the other thing I think that people get stuck in, is the whole thing of they do something and maybe they don't, they give the patient what they want, but not what the patient needs. And then they're married to that thing for all those appointments where they come in. And,
yeah. I mean, it's a conversation. It's like aesthetics, if a patient comes in wanting, if a patient came in wanting D3 teeth, and you're like, that's a really weird shade to choose. Or let's say, let's not even say D3, let's say A4. Okay. You'd be like, why would you go with A4? Like, we can go with like A2. Like, no, I really want A4 teeth. You'd be like, oh, okay. You'd give it to them, and you'd think they're a little silly for that, but okay, you want A4 teeth. All right. And then like later on, and let's not say I want one, let's say 20 teeth, A4. And be like, okay. And then they come back a year later and say, I want A2. You're like, okay, let's do A2, but that's their choice. Yeah. So that's anyway. But yeah, I know the philosophy. But I think that is where digital, because every now and then I do get patients that can't tolerate it, and it's easy just to scan, and XCAD has a copy function to copy everything in a heartbeat. And that takes me no time to do it all. That's the easiest money I'll make.
I love
If
it.
I copied everything,
Yeah.
that's easy money. XCAD right now it is scary how fast when you see them start copying teeth, like, oh God, how is it doing that?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So
It is really cool.
it is really, it shows you, I'm pretty confident XCAD doesn't have to show you to real time, but they show it to you in real time, like, ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it is
like,
really amazing. Hey, we've been at this for an hour, Russell. So
yeah.
before we wrap
Yeah.
up, anything that you really want to get out there, anything you want to, anything you're doing you want to talk about or promote or anything like that?
If you want to take some, this is my thought, honestly. If you want to find out more about me, just go to dentistry.com. That's all my stuff. I teach a couple
Okay.
courses, but I'm pretty relaxed about it. My thought is this: it is a lot of fun in digital dentistry and whatnot. There's a lot of
It
ways of getting
is.
into it. I think that you got to figure out what you want to do with it. Whether you want to manufacture, whether you want to design.
Mhm.
I will tell you though that if you get into design work, you will not make money doing it. You will not save money doing it, but you'll be a better dentist.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation for everyone. You should at least learn how to design stuff, but you will not save money doing it. It'll definitely cost you money, but you'll be
No,
better. Your labs will
I
appreciate
agree
you.
with that. You will definitely get better. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And getting better is what it's all about, in my opinion. So,
Amen to that. Amen to
all right.
that.
Well, Russell, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience. This has been a lot of fun. Um, so everybody, thanks for watching and listening to the Technology Evangelist Podcast, sponsored by Medidenta Digital. I'm Dr. John Fluke. I'll see you next time.